Humanity's oldest documented story, the Epic of Gilgamesh, centers on a king's frantic search for eternal life. We have been writing about how to avoid death for as long as we have been writing. That same obsession now drives Silicon Valley ventures aimed at reversing the aging process. Contemporary science frames death as a biological puzzle to be solved in a laboratory. Consider the possibility that catching the car, actually achieving that endless life, might be the worst imaginable fate. Most cultures treat immortality as a hero's reward. The ancient Indian epic, the Mahabharata, weaponizes it. Ashwattama is one of the few Chiranjeevis, or immortal beings, of Hindu mythology. He stands apart from the celebrated gods and victorious kings of the epics. He roams the freezing, isolated peaks of the Himalayas, searching for a death that remains out of reach. Forced to avoid all human contact, he endures his days in total silence across the most remote corners of the world. The question is how a divinely blessed hero ended up suffering a fate that makes death look like a mercy. Ashwattama was born with the direct blessing of Lord Shiva, the god of destruction, into the family of the legendary Guru Dronacharya. That blessing took the form of a mani, a radiant, divine gem embedded in his forehead from birth. The gem rendered him immune to hunger and fatigue. Disease could not touch him, and weapons failed to strike a fatal blow. This privilege made him an untouchable force on the battlefield, but it also fostered an arrogance that would eventually collapse his discipline. During the Kurukshetra War, the death of his father shattered Ashwattama's moral compass, leading him to abandon every rule of engagement. In a vengeful rage, he snuck into the enemy camp under the cover of darkness and slaughtered their sleeping children.
Cornered for his crimes, he unleashed the Brahmastra, an apocalyptic weapon with a scale of destruction comparable to a modern nuclear blast. When ordered to disarm it, he instead targeted the unborn child of a woman named Uttara, attempting to wipe out the entire lineage. By targeting the innocent, Ashwattama forced a divine intervention against a mortal who had misused his gifts. Lord Krishna revived the stillborn child by expending his own life force, an act that left the deity visibly drained and pale. Krishna then stripped Ashwattama of his protection by tearing the divine gem directly from his forehead. He denied Ashwattama the release of death, sentencing him to wander the earth in isolation for thousands of years. The removal left a permanent, festering wound that never heals and emits a foul odor, ensuring he remains a social outcast. The immortality he once enjoyed as a privilege became his cage, a life of endless regret for power wielded without a moral compass. Folklore suggests Ashwattama's sentence remains active in the present day. Urban legends circulate of doctors in Madhya Pradesh treating patients with unhealing forehead wounds who vanish the moment they are left alone. Travelers in the Himalayas report sightings of a tall, wounded figure wandering the high-altitude wilderness. The lore says he visits ancient Shiva temples in the middle of the night to pray for forgiveness. These persistent sightings highlight the psychological weight of this story, transforming an ancient villain into a symbol of eternal regret. Hindu cosmology views this sentence as part of a larger rehabilitation process. We are currently in the Kali Yuga, a massive time cycle with its own internal logic. Prophecy states Ashwattama is waiting for the end of this cycle to assist the final avatar, Kalki. By serving Kalki, he balances his debt and earns a new role, the next Vyasa, the sage who will compile the sacred texts for the next age. Ashwattama's story endures because it suggests that power and longevity, when stripped of discipline and wisdom, turn a potential god into a perpetual prisoner.